A long time ago, there was nothing. Then there was Earth, and the gods said, "It is good." Actually, they weren't gods. They were just a super advanced civilization called the Isu. They had dope cities and technology and were generally super smart. But they were also kind of assholes. So they decided, you know what would be an amazing addition to our super advanced civilization? Slavery! So they created humans, and also created those powerful artifacts called the Pieces of Eden to mind control them. And everyone was happy. Well, except for some humans who were actually human Isu hybrids and were immune to mind control. "Let's steal the apple of Eden," said Eve. "Okay," said Adam. And they did. That's when the war started. "Hey guys," said Minerva, Juno, and Jupiter, who were Isu scientists, who found out that a solar event which would destroy most life on Earth was about to happen. "Not now, we're fighting a war," said everyone else. "Guys, this is important," said the scientists. "Seriously, it has to wait until we're done with the war," said everyone else. "Well, I guess we'll die," said the scientists. And they did. But not before Juno implanted some people with her dead boyfriend's DNA and hijacked the world-saving machine to make everyone her mind-controlled slave if it's ever turned on. That was a bit of a dick move. The other scientists thought so too, and they locked her in a basement forever before they died. So now most of Isu are dead, and most of humans are also dead, but like 10,000 are left, and they start repopulating the Earth. Fast forward to historical era. Humans have forgotten who the Isu were, and they now worship them as gods. Then some people find some old Isu artifacts. Hey, let's use them to bring peace to humanity. That's a cool idea. By using their mind control powers to enslave other humans. Wait, what? So the guys who wanted to enslave everyone else became the Templar Order, and the guys who didn't want them to enslave everyone else became the Assassin Brotherhood. Well, they were called some other names at that point, but the game is called Assassin's Creed, not Medjay and the Hidden One's Creed, so who cares? So a couple thousand years passed, and in the meantime, the Templars and the Assassins are at each other's throats like all the time. They fight over some Isu artifacts in ancient Greece, and then in ancient Egypt. Turns out that Xerxes and Cleopatra's younger brother were buddies with the Templars, so the Assassins killed them. Because killing people is kind of their thing. Who would have guessed? Anyway, fast forward again, it's the Third Crusade. Now the Templars are actually called the Templars, and they're messing things up in the Middle East. Turns out they infiltrate the Assassin Brotherhood, but this guy, Altair, manages to kill the boss of the Assassins, who is secretly a Templar, then steals his Apple of Eden and locks himself with it in a basement or something. Then, like 300 years later, this guy called Ezio becomes an assassin and fights against the Pope, who was also a Templar. He also steals some Isu junk and makes the Assassin Order great again. Hey, so remember Minerva? She's one of the nice Isu scientists who tried to save everyone, but then didn't. Ezio finds her in a basement, and she tells him all the Isu stuff we told you about in the beginning. She also tells him that another solar event is going to happen and kill everyone. But that will happen in the 21st century, and Ezio will be dead by then, so whatever. In the colonial era, this pirate guy called Edward Kenway accidentally becomes an assassin. It's a really cool coincidence because, guess what? He's the descendant of Ezio and Altair. He finds out about an Isu observatory, which allows you to track down anyone in the world if you have their blood. But first you also need the blood of a sage. So Edward finds a sage called Bart, and they become best friends. Turns out that sages are actually people who have Juno's dead boyfriend's DNA and memories. So Bart betrays Edward and then gets killed in a revenge plot. Also, the observatory gets permanently locked. So, later on, during the American Revolution, the Templars and Assassins have put the past behind them and became allies who work together towards a common goal. Just kidding, they're still fighting over Isu junk. To make it more dramatic, this one assassin dude called Shay Patrick Cormac decides that assassins are the real assholes and joins the Templars. Guess who's his boss? It's Edward's son, Haytham. But Haytham gets killed by a son, Connor, who is an assassin. Just imagine what the Kenway family dinners must be like. Anyway, Connor ends up with the current hottest piece of Isu junk, which is an amulet that is also a key to turn on the world-saving machine. So I guess it was all worth it. Meanwhile, on the old continent, the French Revolution is going on. As you can expect by now, the Templars and the Assassins are involved, but that's not all. Remember Sage Bart? He's now reincarnated as Sage Frank, and he tries to destroy humanity by inventing capitalism or something like that. He becomes the head of the Templars, but some of them decide he's too hardcore for their liking. So they briefly cooperate with the Assassins to get him killed. Oh, and there's also a super romantic story of forbidden love between an assassin Arno and a Templar's daughter Elise. She gets killed as well, though. Later on, in the Victorian era, it turns out that London is basically run by the Templars. But fortunately, there are still some assassins left, and they're ready to assassinate some dudes. So one of the assassins, Evie, finds Edward Kenway's treasure map and starts collecting Isu junk, while her twin brother Jacob creates a youth wing of the Assassin Brotherhood. Anyway, the Fry twins end up finding the Shroud of Eden and killing the head Templar. But the Templars still have the majority of Isu junk, and they use it to make all sorts of cool technology. They also now run a corporation called Abstergo Industries. Their most awesome invention is the the Animus, a machine that lets you access your genetic memory and kind of relive your ancestors' life somehow. Don't think too hard about this. So they kidnap this guy, Desmond, who is the descendant of basically every assassin ever, I guess, and make him play a VR game about Altair, Ezio, and 60% of the Kenways. He finds out about all the stuff we've told you so far, and decides to go stop the world from ending in a solar event. So he runs away from Abstergo Industries, finds all the necessary Isu junk, and opens the Isu temple created to save the world. Then it turns out that this temple is the same temple that Juno hacked to make it also a mind control device to let her control all humans. She was a bit of a dick, remember? So Desmond meets holographic Minerva and holographic Juno and has to decide if he wants to save the human civilization but let them get mind controlled by Juno, or let the majority of humans die and the handful that will survive rebuild from scratch, free of Juno's control. He chooses the first option, turns on the machine, brings Juno back, and also dies because the machine kills whoever uses it. But don't worry, Juno also dies in a comic book, so everything is cool in the end. Except for the fact that Abstergo Industries, aka Templars, are still trying to take over humanity. This time by making video games. It's very tongue-in-cheek, really. And the assassins are trying to stop them, but they probably won't because they would have to stop making those games if they did. The end! So, that's Assassin's Creed lore for you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel for a regular dose of gaming content.